Hi, welcome to lesson 44 of the B2 course. So this is a vocabulary lesson and our topic today is technology. My name's Stephanie, this is level B2 or upper intermediate, and we will be having lesson 44 of the course. So let's have a look at what we're going to cover in this session. So in lesson 44 you will talk about gadgets, increase vocabulary to describe objects and their use, and discuss the impact of technology on modern life. Now, I've used the word gadgets. What is a gadget? Do you know? So a gadget is literally a device or a technological device that we use to make our lives easier. This is a gadget. What we're also going to do in this session is have a look at some exam-style questions. So technology is a very popular topic for examiners. In this session, we'll have a look at some very typical questions they might ask you. Okay, let's get started. And we're going to begin with a discussion. So I have 6 discussion points here. Let's think about them. Number 1, is technology a good or bad thing? Number 2, how has technology changed society? Number 3, do you think technology has made us more impatient? Are we always in a hurry? We want to do things quicker. We want things more instant. Number 4, do you think we have become obsessed with technology? Do you know somebody who always wants the latest phone? Or maybe that's you. Number 5, do you trust technology? Do you believe what you read? Do you think it's easy to manipulate? Do you do things like online banking, for example? And number 6 is an interesting question. What things do you think technology will never replace? So technology has replaced a lot of things in modern life, but can you think of any examples of things that you believe can never be replaced by technology? Okay, so lots of interesting things to think about there. Maybe pause the slide, have a think about your answers. And as always, if you'd like to send your answers in to me, that's great. Just email Perfectly Spoken and put level B2 lesson 44 in the subject box. Okay, so let's have a look at some gadgets in a bit more detail. We're going to have a look at 3 gadgets in particular. Okay, which of these items of technology do you own? And how do you think they make your life better? So have a look at the pictures. Maybe you don't own any of these, but you can have an idea, you can imagine how they might make your life better. Okay, well, let's have a look at the first one in a bit more detail. So the smartwatch. First of all, what is it? What is a smartwatch? Can you think of a definition? Imagine meeting somebody who doesn't know what a smartwatch is. How would you describe it to them? Maybe imagine trying to describe this to somebody who was born 100 years in the past, 100 years ago. How would you describe what a smartwatch is? Okay, well, it's a mobile device with a touch screen display. What can it do? So again, there's a clue in the picture. There's 3 icons already there, but what do you think the smartwatch can do? Again, if you don't have one, imagine, what do you think? So I've just put a few things down here. It can, of course, make calls. It can track your steps. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, nowadays, a lot of people have mobile pedometers that count how many steps they make every day. And this is a way of monitoring their fitness levels. So maybe they have a recommended number of steps to achieve in the day. And devices like smartwatches will count the number of steps they make. It can send and receive messages. It can monitor your sleep. So it can track how many hours sleep you are getting each day. Of course, it's also a phone book. You can look at your contacts. It can play music. And perhaps the most obvious one, which isn't on the list, is that it tells you the time. It's still a watch. It still tells you the time. Now, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a useful gadget that you would like to own? Or do you think it's completely unnecessary, that a watch really only needs to tell the time? What do you think? Okay, well, let's move on and have a look at the second gadget, which is a home remote. Now, what do you think this can do? Again, there's a clue in the picture. Well, this is a remote way of controlling your home. So when you are outside of your home, you have control of things that are happening in your home. Specifically, your lighting, your heating, and your TV. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a necessary gadget? Do you think, oh, this is something I would like to own? Or do you think it's not necessary? When do you think you might need to use this? So maybe, for example, the day is very cold or very hot and you want to adjust the heating before you arrive home. Or perhaps you're working late and when you get home you would like the lights to be on. These are all things you can do with a remote home device. Again, probably divided opinions as to whether this is a necessary gadget or not. And our third device is an Amazon Echo. Well, what is this? What do I mean by this? So this is a cloud-based voice-activated service. What can it do? So again, I've just put a few things here. It can play music, make calls, set alarms, answer questions, check your diary, and manage to-do lists. And the key thing here is that it's all voice activated. So of course your phone, your smartphone, can do all of these things. Your computer can do all of these things, but they're not necessarily voice activated. So the point is you can be in your home. Maybe you want to know, oh, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? You ask this device and it will tell you. So you can be cooking, you can be doing other things, and this device will answer your questions. It will also play music. It will tell you what you've got in your diary. So it will tell you what you've got coming up. But is this necessary? Again, what do you think? There's no right or wrong answer here. Technology, often people have very different views. Is this something that you would like to own? Well, let's have a look at some IELTS style questions on technology, which are about you and your opinions. Number 1, do you enjoy using technology? Number 2, do you use the internet for your studies? So if you're studying for an exam, do you use the internet? Number 3, has technology made your life more or less stressful? Number 4, do you have your own computer? Number 5, what are the important things people need to learn when they start using computers? And number 6, what kind of technological developments have made the biggest impact on our lives? Now, with these questions, there's no right or wrong answer. You won't have points added or deducted because the answer is right or wrong. It's all about your opinion and being able to develop, explain, and give examples. And this is why it's very important to practice before. Because when you're stressed in an exam, it can be very difficult to think on the spot of ways in which technology has improved our lives. If you practice before, if you think of examples, then that will eliminate a lot of stress and help you to be more fluent. So, very good idea to think about what would your answers be to these questions. Okay, so a useful thing to do is to think about the advantages and disadvantages of technology. We've looked at some gadgets in detail and we've talked about what they can do. Now, a lot of these things can be positive, but a lot of them could also be perceived as negative. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to think of 10 advantages of modern technology. So pause the slide and see if you can write down 10 advantages. Okay, were you able to do that quite quickly? Well, let's have a look at some of my ideas. So, number one, accessing information. Of course, with the internet, we can access information very easily and very quickly. Number two, communication has improved. If you think about video calls, a lot of these are now free. So even if you have relatives living on the other side of the world, it's very easy not only to stay in touch, but to stay in touch in a very positive way because you can video call, so you can see the other person. Social networking. We had a previous lesson where we talked about social networking, social media, connecting people with applications such as Facebook or Instagram. Number four, improved entertainment. Number five, improved education opportunities. You can do online courses. Number six and number seven, saving time and saving money. So a lot of these gadgets, for example, they are aiming at saving you time and money. I've left 8, 9 and 10 blank for your ideas. So perhaps you had 3 that I didn't select here. Okay, so they are some advantages. Let's look at the flip side. What about some disadvantages? Often connected to the advantages because they can be perceived in different ways. So pause the slide and see if you can write down 10 disadvantages for me. Okay, was that easy? Easier than the advantages or more difficult for you? Well, let's have a look at some ideas. Okay, so potential addiction. So perhaps you know somebody that's addicted to checking their phone. Number 2, this can lead to increased loneliness. And number 3, increased dependency. So we talked about social media. And yes, there are a lot of social networking platforms. But do you think this isn't real life? People aren't interacting face to face. They're interacting through a computer. And this can lead to people's sense of loneliness and dependency. Inability to switch off. Again, now that a lot of people have smartphones, they have laptops at home, it's very easy to continue working 24/7. You leave the office, but you can still check your emails. So when you get home, you are still working. You're not switching off and having a proper break. Number 5. Loss of communication skills. Yes, it can make communication better, but if we're communicating via text message, for example, we're losing the inability to interact with real people. Number 6, so whilst positively these gadgets can save us money, they also require constant updating, which can be expensive. We talked before about updating your phone, updating your computer. Doing this can be very expensive. And of course, number 7, there's the risk of being hacked. So perhaps you do your online banking. Well, unless your bank has a very secure platform, there is a risk that your account can be hacked. Also, at a very basic level, your emails can be hacked. Is this something that's happened to you? So these are some ideas of disadvantages, and I've left 8, 9 and 10 blank for your ideas. 3 things that I haven't mentioned. Okay, so let's finish with some more exam style questions. So this time, I want you to think about an item of technology that you have that for you is very important. So think about something that you own that's very important. And I'd like you to say, number 1, what the technology is. Number 2, when you got it. Number 3, how often you use it. And number 4, how would your daily life be different without it? So imagine this item of technology being removed from your life. How would your life be different? So pause the slide and think about your answers to these 4 questions. What's the technology? When did you get it? How often do you use it? And how your daily life would be different without it. Again, if you'd like to send your answers in to me, that's fine. I would be very happy to look at them and correct them for you. As I said before, very common exam topic, so a good idea to practice beforehand. Okay, thank you very much for watching lesson 44. Our next lesson, 45, is a review. So we'll be looking back at lessons 41, 42, 43, and this one, lesson 44. So I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for watching.